Hello everyone. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for refusing to accept blame for my stepsister's accident? My parents are divorced and they have me, 16M, as their only kid. My dad's still single but my mom's married again. Her husband has a 10-year-old daughter, so my stepsister. I split time equally between my parents. I'm at mom's house for a week, then I go home to dad the other week and I switch back over. My relationship with dad is better. Mom's always been a little too demanding. One thing that has pissed people off is she texts me during school and expects me to answer. She asks me to do stuff for her and I could be in the middle of class. My dad and most of my teachers encouraged me to let her know my phone was going on silent until I was finished for the day, and I started doing it. My mom even called my school before to say they needed to get me to text her back or call her. And I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Stuff she'll ask is for me to pick up milk at the store on my way home, or to pick up takeout that she ordered, and since she got married again it might be to walk my stepsister home from school or to take her somewhere. I don't drive, so mom gets me to do it walking. She even made me stand outside my stepsister's basketball practice for an hour once because she insisted I had to go and pick her up before going to her house. Back in April I had after school stuff and I kept my phone on silent and didn't check because I didn't want to deal with mom saying she needed me to pick up something or whatever. When I was finished I saw mom had texted and said I needed to pick my stepsister up from some Girl Scouts/camping thing. Then there was a call I missed and a voice note where mom was screaming at me because they got a call that my stepsister had been knocked down by a bike and was at the hospital. I get to mom's house and nobody's there, so I just do my homework and wait. Mom gets home a few hours later and tells me my stepsister walked on her own because nobody came to pick her up and she wasn't being careful and got run over. And that she was too young to walk alone. I told mom it wasn't my fault and it made mom blow a fuse because she thought I should feel more bad or whatever. We argued over how she knows I have after school stuff and she said family should take priority over any stuff. She chewed dad out for siding with the school on the phone thing and he chewed her out for blaming me. Now every time I'm at her house we fight and she told me I should be ashamed for my lack of feeling bad. Her husband is 100% on her side and he's an ass anyway, so that doesn't surprise me. My stepsister broke one of her legs and she has damage done to her other knee and it's likely a long-term /forever thing. But I don't feel like it's my fault when I never agreed to pick her up. They just didn't plan better. My mom keeps saying it's disgusting that I keep defending myself over this. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for refusing to listen to my stepmother's hurt feelings about my mom being present for my son's birth but not her? I, 29F, recently gave birth to my first child and my mom stood in for my husband, 28M, as my birthing partner because while I was in labor he was admitted to the hospital over medical complications he's been dealing with. We knew this was a possibility, so I asked my mom months ago if she would mind being there. My husband was with me through a screen, which wasn't the same, but I still had my support there. My mom and MIL also stayed with us for several weeks after our son was born to help us out. My husband especially needed the help and I was grateful to both of our moms for doing this for us. My stepmother was upset when she learned that my mom was present at my son's birth, and she was also upset mom and MIL were staying but she wasn't asked. When her and my dad visited she attempted to cry about it to me and my husband, but I encouraged my husband to ignore her and get up and leave, which is exactly what I did. Every time she opened her mouth about it I was out of there. This was after I told her to stop and she had no right to be there even if she felt like she had. We didn't let her and dad stay with us, but they lived close enough to start visiting daily, which they did, at her insistence, and she kept trying to make me feel bad and I kept refusing to listen. One day last week she told me I was cruel to dismiss her feelings so heartlessly and I should know that after all the years of being my second mom that she'd be hurt badly by this. Some context on the family for those who need it. My parents divorced when I was 2 and my dad married my stepmother, and I always used the formal stepmother versus the less formal stepmom. My stepmother expected to become my other mother and started this very one-sided competition for it. She was always trying to make me split Mother's Day with mom and her, and she would forever annoy me about doing Mother's Day activities together, even when she had kids of her own with my dad. When I was 12 my mom was diagnosed with cancer and dad and my stepmother swooped in and insisted I stay with them until mom was better. They made her feel so bad for keeping 50-50 that she relented, but only with a written agreement in place that I would be back to 50-50 once her treatment stopped. Unfortunately, that took 3 years because she had many complications along the way. During that time, my stepmother would always make it clear that SHE was there and not my mom. That SHE was dealing with the toughest child-raising ages. She put pressure on me to appreciate her for stepping up while mom was sick. And she always made digs about how she didn't need a break from raising me and stuff. Which felt so fucking disgusting to me back then and still to this day. It was predatory the way she was around that. My mom was fighting for her life, and this woman tries to steal me as her daughter and attempts to paint herself as the better person because she was able to do more? I didn't appreciate her for it. In actual fact, I grew to hate her. My dad and I had a lot of fights about it and the pressure he and that woman put on mom. It's something he apologized for and has attempted to make up. He hasn't fully, but I still love him, and mom said a part of her understands because she didn't want me to feel obligated to care for her while she was sick either. He even accepted me living full-time with mom after she got better, and I would visit him some weekends. My stepmother hated it, but I ignored that because to me she had no say over my life. She was not my real parent. She was not someone I respected. And she was only in my life as long as my dad is, or as long as she's married to him. After my stepmother called me cruel last week, I told her she was not welcome in my home anymore, and we would have very limited contact for a while because I was not listening to her complain about the birth anymore. I said I had my mom and my child's grandmother there, and she had no business insisting she should be there. I said her feelings are her own to deal with, not mine. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for saying it's not my problem if my ex and her husband can't afford their kids? I, 30M, was married to Maren, 30F, and we have a son together who's now 8. When Maren was pregnant, I found out she was cheating on me with James, 33M. James had a girlfriend who was pregnant at the same time. When my son was born, we needed a DNA test to find out if I was his father or James was. As Maren's husband, I was the legal father, and that made it easier when the DNA results showed he was actually mine. Because she fought to name James his father. Things were toxic. James was there for everything in the later pregnancy and the birth, and Maren told me nothing. Her parents were the ones who gave me info on when my son was born so I could file with the courts for a DNA test and custody, and our son's birth was also when our divorce could proceed. James' ex ended up giving him custody of their daughter, and so they had her full time and my son 50% of the time, and a year and a half later they had a daughter together. At this point they have James' daughter and 4 children together. And I won custody of my son 3.5 years ago because in order to force more money out of me, they wouldn't feed him enough and let him wear dirty old clothes. And I only paid child support because I earned more than Maren. But we had equal parenting time back then. So now Maren sees our son every other weekend. My son's in therapy to help him with all the mess he's witnessed and been a part of in some way in his young life. Maren was also ordered to pay a small amount of child support, but she only paid a few times. She always uses the excuse that she can't afford it, and that might be true. I never push it because I can take care of my son without her. For the last 2-ish years, Maren has looked to me to buy extra school supplies and share them among the 2 school-aged kids. So her stepdaughter and first daughter with James. I have always ignored those requests and sent my son with supplies and donated a few to his class as requested. I have never bought a single thing for the other children in my ex's household. 2 weeks ago my son had a small surgery and Maren showed up. Maren brought up the school supplies issue and asked me to please be decent about this and get some supplies for her girls because they couldn't afford them. She told me they struggle to support the kids they have as it is, and their other kids suffer. I tried to move away from her, but she followed me to another table. So I told her I don't care if they can't afford their other kids. I told her that her other children are not my responsibility and she needs to figure something else out. I told her she already denied our kid food to try and get money out of me, and she lost most of her time with him as a result, and my priority was my kid, not the kid she keeps having. I told her I would not discuss it with her again, and I haven't, but she has sent many messages through the co-parenting app the courts have ordered us to use where she calls me an asshole and not a good dad to our kid. My lawyer knows. He tells me to keep ignoring her. And for those who might wonder, this will not remove her visitation with him. It was difficult enough to get primary custody after her denying our son enough food to try and make me pay more. Unless my son is older and doesn't want to see her or CPS removes the other kids, nothing will change revisitation. Am I the bad person? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.